What's going on, Birdland? Stephen Heckman here for the Final Strike podcast, and we have reached the All-Star break for the first part of the Major League 2025 season. Orioles, of course, are 43-52 in last place in the AL East, which is nothing we expected. They remain 11.5 games behind the first place Toronto Blue Jays. Keep that in mind. The Toronto Blue Jays are in first place. They actually passed the Yankees and lead them by 2 games. Now, on the good side of things, you go over to the wild card standings, and we're only 7.5 games back. Currently 9 games under 500. We did end the first half with back-to-back losses to the Miami Marlins, but we're 6-4 in our last 10, and we had a 3-3 homestand going into the break. So, a lot of things going on. We have the draft, which is going on, and if you actually follow the BaltimoreBattery.com, or you're not, you need to. Zachary Bucklow is going to have all the draft updates you got. He's going to have a breakdown of the top 10 players picked. He's going to have a breakdown of how we did in the draft, everything like that. So definitely a lot to look forward when it comes to that. Also, we have our prospects, first half players for each level of the minor league system. And there's going to be the good, the great, the good, the bad, the great, the good, and the ugly first half edition as well. So a lot to look forward to. It's going to be a big week this week for the Baltimore Battery, so make sure you stay tuned and are up to par with everything that's going on with the Baltimore Battery. And if you're not following them, you need to follow us either on X or TikTok, or look up the website and follow us as well. It's thebaltimorebattery.com. On X and TikTok, it's at the Be More Battery. So make sure you give them a follow. They're also the reason I'm here. A lot to look forward to with this week being the All-Star break. So, coming out of the All-Star break, we're going to be looking to a lot of things. Are the Orioles going to be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline? This is something that we have been wondering for quite some time. I've said that as long as we're less than 10 games out of the wild card going into the All-Star break, that we actually need to play to actually make the postseason this year, but also work towards having players locked up for next year as well. You take Ramon Laureano. He's a player who we have an option on him. I definitely think we ought to pick him up. But then you look at players like Ramon Urias, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Gregory Soto, Ryan O'Hearn. You can even go as far as saying Zach Eflin, maybe even Charlie Morton, Tomioka Sagano. I mean, there's plenty of pieces there that are available to trade as well. And with the catching carousel we have going on right now, when our catchers start getting healthy, what do you do with all these catchers that you have? You're going to have to get rid of somebody. You're going to have to send a couple back down. So there's a lot of possibilities. But the one thing we do definitely need to focus on is definitely going to be pitching. Now, here's the thing that comes into play. Is it starting pitching? I don't think so. Grayson Rodriguez, Kyle Bradish, and Tyler Wells are progressing very well. Albert Suarez is very close to start his pitching off a mound and everything like that, so he should be doing bullpens very soon. Zach Eflin will be coming back. So, I mean, you're talking about 5 pitchers right there that are due back by August. I mean, anytime in August and you get 2 of them back, you're going to win a trade deadline. Because they're players you didn't have to give up anything for, you already had, and it's also what we should have had going into this season. So, I digress when I say starting pitching is not something we probably need to look forward to. Charlie Morton has turned his season around tremendously and pitched very well for us the last few times. Trevor Rogers, 3 of his 5 starts or 6 starts have been scoreless outings. The guy has completely done a 180 compared to what he was last year. And a lot of that was keeping his emotions in check, learning how to not let things beat him up, and learning not to put the pressure on him that was coming from Birdland as Kyle Stowers and Connor Norby got traded away. And if anybody saw the Miami Marlins last game against us, Kyle Stowers showed what we were missing. I was a big Kyle Stowers fan. I mean, I loved the guy. I got baseball cards of the guy. I always predicted him being a strong caliber player for the Baltimore Orioles. And I honestly thought he would have been the replacement for Anthony Santander. Didn't work out that way. Unfortunately, I wish we would have kept him. But if Trevor Rogers keeps pitching the way he's pitching, did we really give up much to get the pitcher that he is? Because right now, Trevor Rogers is turning into our most reliable pitcher on the staff. He keeps pitching that way. We get Zach Eflin back if we do not trade him, and you get Kyle Bradish, Grayson Rodriguez back to their normal routine. We have a very strong possibility of making a historic run and making the postseason. Now, that's a big what if because a lot of things can happen in baseball. Look what happened in the first half. We lost Jordan Westburg not once but twice. We lost Colton Cowser to 60 games. We've lost Adley Rutschman. We no sooner get Adley Rutschman back and we get out, and Gary Sanchez comes back and starts lighting things up, and then he's out. I mean, we have 5 catchers. We're on our 5th catcher right now. So, you then look at, the starting rotation, and Zach Eflin is on the IL. You had Charlie Morton, who got his last start pushed back because of his shoulder tendonitis flare up. So, I mean, there's a lot of things going on that, we've got to take a look at and consider, there is a possibility. It has dampened our season. I'm usually not a player to sit there and say, injuries are what ruined our season. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, we lead the majors in time lost to players on the IL. And that's not even counting Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Grayson Rodriguez has yet to pitch this season. Albert Suarez, I think, pitched 5 innings. I mean, we just got Scott Blewett back, and of course he came in and didn't pitch that, or not Blewett back. He brought back up, but we got Poteet, who's due to come back, and he was actually pitching. He gave up 5 runs in his one outing, and then went on the IL. But I'm starting to see this as a pattern because we have another pitcher who I think it's Blewett. He actually gave up 4 runs, and then he goes on the IL. I don't understand what's going on with our pitching, but somebody better get a hold of it. And whether it's the training staff, whether it's the way the pitching programs are designed, our pitchers are getting injured way more than they should. Jordan Westburg having a hamstring injury. Cedric Mullins having a hamstring injury. Most of our pitchers are having lat strains. I mean, these are key things that should be stretched out properly before you play, practice, or anything like that. So this reoccurring injury to different players kind of raises a flag as what is the training staff doing or what is being done differently that's causing this problem. And it could be something as simple as the way they're warming up. It might be something so small, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a big thing because of what's happening. Colton Cowser, most people don't slide into first base. I understand the aggression and he was trying to make a play, but he broke his finger. That's not a training issue. I understand that. But we got to look at things. You got Jorge Mateo. He was in his rehab game and ended up hurting his hamstring. Grade 2, out 8 to 12 weeks. Ryan Mountcastle hurt his hamstring, out 8 to 12 weeks. You saw what happened with Jordan Westburg the first part of the season. Without him, how bad our lineup looked. Hamstring injury. Cedric Mullins had a mild hamstring injury. There is a pattern here, and the pattern leads back to the training department because we're missing something or overdoing something that's causing these injuries to specific players that are key members to our team. Unless the Yankees actually sent people into sabotage. I'm joking. Please, nobody take me serious on that. But it does raise a flag. There is something going on where we have so many pitchers having lat strains, and we have so many players getting hamstring injuries. Something we got to look at. Now, Adley Rutschman is an oblique strain. Luckily, they stopped him before it got worse. But an oblique injury, you're talking about time for that to heal. Oblique injuries can sometimes take anywhere from, 6 weeks to, 3 months. It depends where it's at. It depends how aggressive they are in treatment and how early they caught it. Oblique injuries are nothing to mess with, especially when you're a batter. But imagine being a catcher, having to squat down and lift up and then throw and all that other stuff. That oblique is going to feel so much worse than what it really should be. So we're going to look at, those things going forward. We got players coming off the IL, and if our team was ever healthy, we have yet to field the predicted opening day lineup this year. Not once has it happened. Whether it be, players being injured, players being out. I mean, even at one point we had Ramon Urias hit the IL. Ramon Laureano hit the IL. Tyler O'Neill just came back off the IL. He's actually not even played 30% of the games that we've played this year. and he's getting paid $16.5 million. He would be a fool if he did not pick up the remaining 2 years of his contract with us. He'd be a total fool. At 31 years of age with an injury history the way he has, $16.5 million guaranteed next year and the year after if he picks up that player option, you'd be a fool not to. Especially when you're not doing anything this year. I mean, he's not even batting 200 right now. He has 3 home runs. He has 11 RBIs. He's played 30 games. This is the guy we signed to replace Anthony Santander. And I know it looks bad right now. I'm hoping that he can come back and have the season that made us want to sign him, like last year in Boston, which he only played 131 games last year. There's not 100 games left in the season, but there's 70-some games, so he can actually get to 100 games if he plays the rest of the games. But we'll see. But then you look at that, you can't take Ramon Laureano out of the lineup. The guy is just a beast. Right now, he's been one of the most surprising additions to the team. Great veteran outfielder, and he's showing what he's capable of. Like, his second season in the league, he played 124 games with the Athletics and had 20 home run power. He's got 11 home runs now playing in 60 games. There's 70 games left. If he just doubles that, you're talking about 22 home runs. 70 RBIs possibly, and not to mention he's a threat to steal on the base path, not frequently. He doesn't have the speed that Mateo and Holiday have, but he could steal in a pinch. His defense is also great. Not great. I rephrase it. His defense is above average, but it's great. He can play any one of the 3 outfield positions as well. So where do we go from here? Cedric Mullins is in the final year of his contract. He's not having a strong season, but defensively, he would be a great addition to any team. We could actually foreseeably trade Cedric Mullins, move Colton Cowser over to center field. Laureano can fill in at center field as well as play right or left field. So, I mean, we have options. Of course, Dylan Beavers is having a phenomenal season down in AAA. Under the radar, most people aren't even talking about him because the talk of the town is Samuel Basallo. Why isn't he up? Why isn't he up? People are saying it doesn't make sense. He's not ready. Yes, he has 19 home runs. But I was actually looking at something the other day, and this is an interesting fact. People want him to come up as a catcher. He's not played but 52% of his minor league career at catcher. Most of it's been at DH, and then he started progressing to first base last year. So when you have a guy who has a strong arm, but is not strong behind the plate at framing and blocking, and is only 20 years old, why rush him to the majors? Just because the guy can hit doesn't mean he's going to fill in admirably at catcher. We already have Gary Sanchez, who's not a strong defensive catcher. I know he's out right now, but Jacob Stallings is a former Gold Glove catcher. I'm totally fine with Jacob Stallings being there. I am honestly fine with Samuel Basallo staying down in the minors this season. If he does come up later on, okay, so be it. But I don't feel the need to bring him up as a catcher for a guy who's 20 years old and over his minor league career has played 52% of his career as a catcher. Remember, he started this season not able to throw the ball because of his injury. Last season, he started the season unable to throw the ball because of an injury to his elbow. So you've got to factor in these things, and I know Birdland sees one thing and are like, tell me this guy's not ready. But there's more to the picture. Just because you have a catcher who's going to be the next Mike Piazza doesn't necessarily mean you just bring him up because you run out of catchers and he's your only option. Now, if another catcher goes down, I might have to start thinking about it. But then you have to play in the fact you got Kobe Mayo, who's platooning right now with Ryan O'Hearn at first base. O'Hearn's getting more of the at-bats, but when he DHs, you get Mayo at first. Basallo also plays first base. So are you going to, cut Mayo's growth out because you want Basallo up? These are things that you have to think about. There's a broader picture to it all. And I think that's what people are missing here, is that there has to be more to it than just what the surface shows. And when I was looking at the Norfolk offensive players to decide who had a better first half, Sammy Basseo, yes, he's had an excellent first half. I'm not discrediting anything from that. He's homered in 8% of his at-bats this season. But you have Dylan Beavers, who's batting over 40 points higher than him. Now, his OPS is not approaching the 1,000 mark, but Dylan Beavers has also stolen 20 bases and hit 11 home runs. He's on track for a 2020 season. Not only has he driven in 34, but he's scored 52 times. He's also played 9 more games than Basseo, so his value right now is a little bit more than what Basseo brings to the team. Yes, Basseo is homering at a great rate. Yes, he's driving in runs, but when you have a player who not only can drive in runs but produce runs, playing 3 outfield positions anytime you need him to, and is also showing power with speed, he edges Basseo out a little bit. And that's where I think people might actually fuss at me, because why did I not put Basseo as the Norfolk Tide's first half player? That's why. Beavers offers more of an upside to the team for the Tides right now than Samuel Basseo does. And it's nothing against Basseo. I like the guy. I think he's going to be an excellent baseball player. Do I think he sticks at catcher? Probably not. He might play catcher some in the first part of his career, but eventually he's either going to become a full-time DH or even a first baseman. And I know people are going to fuss at me and scream at me for that, but look at the whole picture. Don't just look at what you see inside the frame. Look around it, because there's things and there's reasons why Basseo is still down there. And I can't fault it when I actually look at everything else beyond just the home runs and the RBIs, beyond the guy hitting 264. General rule of thumb, when you go up each level in the minors and into the majors, you expect it to drop anywhere between 10 and 20 points in your batting average. If he's batting 264, you're talking about a guy batting 244, 254 at the age of 20. Look at the struggles that Jackson Holliday had last season and tell me you want to put Samuel Basseo through that. Because as soon as these pitchers figure out what he can't hit, that's all they're going to throw him. And yes, the guy does have a decent strikeout to walk ratio. If I remember, it's something like 52 to 34, which isn't horrible. But Beavers was better, by the way. But when you look at that in the grand scheme of things, that's going to be a factor. Look at what they did to Gunnar Henderson in the first part of his career. His first few months, everybody was ready to send him back down to the minor leagues. And then July came and something clicked. They made an adjustment, and it went from there. Adley Rutschman, his first 2.5 months in the majors, he batted 176. So these are things that people are have to look at and consider. Jackson Holliday came up last year as the number 1 overall prospect. The hype was there, everything was there, and he was tearing up the minors, got to the majors, and they exposed what he couldn't do. This offseason, he went and worked on that to adjust and make adjustments to his swing and his stance. And look at what he's doing this year. He's having a stronger year. And mind you, he's just 21 years old. Gunnar Henderson is just 23 years old. So we have the ability to bring Basseo up, but it's not a necessity. It's not something that is required. And I know a lot of people aren't too happy with Elias because of it and because of some of the things he didn't do or did do this offseason. But I do agree with him. It's not time for Basseo to come up. Maybe later in the year is a possibility, but right now he's not ready. Offensively, yes, he might be able to smack the hell out of the ball, but so can Kobe Mayo, but he's hit 1 home run. Kobe Mayo's hit 1 home run at the major league level, and that home run came off an infielder or a position player. So just because you can hit the ball a mile doesn't mean you're going to when you get to the majors. It took Gunnar Henderson a couple years to adjust. And look at Gunnar this year. Gunnar Henderson's home run totals are way down, but he's hitting the ball more with authority to all parts of the field. So certain adjustments can actually make a player better. And these are the things that you identify in the majors. Jackson Holliday took what worked against him, and he's having a good season, was actually in the running to be in the All-Star game and probably should have been. But it didn't work out in his favor. He could end up being an alternate. Who knows? Gunnar Henderson adjusted from his first season, and then last year had a hell of a season offensively. And now this year, he seems to be better offensively. He's a little bit more patient at the plate. He's still striking out a good amount, but he's seems to be focusing more on putting the ball in play than trying to hit the ball out of the park. Now, the other day, the pinch hit 2-run home run, that was, you could tell that was just an angry swing. And I think it had to do with he didn't start the first game and wanted to. But he came in and he launched the ball. The boy can hit. We know that. But would you rather have a guy who hits home runs and bats 250, or would you rather have a guy who can hit home runs but bat 280? That's what we need. And that's a player who's actually looking to be better, not only as a player, but as a teammate, and do what benefits the team and helps the team. How that translates to whether we can get him to a long-term extension, I don't know. But these are things that we have to consider, things you have to look at. And that's the things going forward. Now, you've got players who definitely could find themselves on other teams. I mean, the Houston Astros could definitely use Cedric Mullins because it brings Jose Altuve back into the second base where he belongs. And there's some good talent from the Houston Astros we could get. You look at the Chicago Cubs. They could use the depth in the outfield and the veteran presence. They have some players that we could go with. You take Ramon Urias. He would definitely fit into a player like the Cubs or the San Francisco Giants. Teams that need these players become ideal suitors for us because we can get players not only that are controllable but could actually help the team this year, next year, but also offload contracts so we get something instead of nothing. Because as it is, with our free agents, you have to make them a offer in order to get compensation for them. And I don't know what the offer is going to be this. I think last year was like 18.7. Could be wrong on that. It could have been a little bit more, a little bit less. And I think this year jumps up to 19.9 is the offer. If you make them an offer and they decline it, then you get compensation for the pick. I don't remember what the exact term is. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward. We get a chance to rest up, get our team healthy, come out of the break, and start marching towards a better season. We get our pitching staff healthy, and there's not a team we couldn't beat. And what's funny is we're beating teams we should beat or shouldn't beat. Like, we're beating up on playoff teams, but outside of the Tigers. And I'm glad, well, actually anybody in the AL Central, I'm just glad to be done with that division right now. But we can beat the Yankees. We've beaten the Red Sox. We've beaten the Tampa Bay Rays. Did already against Blue Jays. We split with them. So, I mean, we took 2 or 3 from the Mets. We swept the Braves. So, I mean, it's interesting to see it's the teams that, are around our level of play or worse that we're having our issues with. So we'll see what we can do to adjust that. We're going to see what happens going forward. Make sure you watch the All-Star game and root for Ryan O'Hearn. Only Oriole right now that is selected and made it because Birdland voted him in. He's one of the most popular players in the first half because of what he did. Yes, Rafael Devers moving to the National League kind of helped that. But excellent first half. Proud for Ryan O'Hearn. It's his first All-Star appearance. And we'll see what happens going forward. But be on the lookout, like I said, BaltimoreBattery.com. Zach is going to be releasing loads of information pertaining to the prospects, how the draft went, and everything like that. A lot of people think the draft went well. Me, I have my questions on it, but I'm not making millions of dollars to make these choices. So a lot of people are satisfied and happy with the draft. Me, I have, in the first round of the draft, I have my opinions, but I digress. It's done. It's over with. Not that they're bad players that were picked either. I just didn't like our approach. But it was the approach that they wanted. It's the approach that apparently pundits think was the best approach. So kudos to them. Be on the lookout for Zachary Bucklow's articles dropping at the BaltimoreBattery.com. Be on the lookout for the great, the good, the bad, and the ugly, or the great, the good, and the ugly from the first half. Also be on the look for first half prospects of the first half and loads more. Check out the BaltimoreBattery.com. If you have not joined and followed, do it. Follow us on X, follow us on TikTok at thebemorebattery.com. You can follow me on pretty much most social media platforms that are out there. So you're going to find me on Instagram, you're going to find me on YouTube, you're going to find me on Twitter, or X, formerly Twitter. You're going to find me on TikTok, and I'll be looking into Blue Sky, as well as 3.5 app is now out and live. You'll be able to find me on there. All of my social media handles are the same, at SRJ Heckman, which is Heckman. Find me there. You can also find The Final Strike on X. It's not as active an account, but it's at The Final Strike _. Make sure you tune in to follow. Make sure you subscribe on the YouTube channel so you can get notifications when new episodes come out, as we are releasing episodes over there on a regular basis as well. So also want to give a big shout out to Scooters for Rent. They are our sponsor. Without them, we wouldn't be here doing what we're doing. They help keep the lights on, keep the equipment going, make sure I'm fed and healthy. So if you're ever in the Maryland, Delaware area and you're looking for mobility equipment from Mobility Scooters, beach wheelchairs, electric wheelchairs, manual wheelchairs, as well as lift recliners, go ahead and give them a shout at 302-280-6203 and tell them that Steve Heckman from The Final Strike sent you. Until next time, Birdland, I want to give a big shout out to everybody. Congratulate Ryan O'Hearn. Please make sure you subscribe and are following me. Please leave comments and post and let me know what you want to hear or see in the next episode. Until next time, Birdland, keep that beer cold. Peace out.